If you're black in America during the Civil War, your entire life is shaped by a conflict that claims to be about freedom. Yet, in the beginning, that promise doesn't fully extend to you. You might be enslaved on a southern plantation, legally free, but never truly safe in the North, living in a crowded refugee camp behind Union lines. A mother struggling to keep your family together through constant upheaval, or a Union soldier wearing the uniform of the United States while earning less than the white men fighting beside you. For Black Americans, this isn't simply a war between North and South. It's a fight over something far more personal. It's a struggle over whether you will remain someone's property, be recognized as a human being, or one day finally be accepted as a full citizen. If I'm black in 1861, fear already shapes nearly every part of my life. If I'm enslaved, my family can be torn apart at any moment. My wife, husband, parents, or children can be sold away without warning. My work belongs to someone else. Even my own body isn't considered my own. In many parts of the South, simply learning to read can bring brutal punishment. And if I'm free, that doesn't mean I'm protected. Free black communities in the North have built churches, businesses, newspapers, schools, and neighborhoods of their own. But freedom comes with constant danger. I can still be attacked in the street, kidnapped by slave catchers, or forced to flee because of laws like the Fugitive Slave Act, which allows escaped slaves to be captured even in free states. In the South, free black people live under many of the same restrictions that surround slavery itself. Travel is limited. Public gatherings are monitored. Schools and churches face constant interference. Freedom exists, but it is fragile, conditional, and can disappear overnight. So when war finally breaks out, Black Americans recognize something that many white Americans don't. This war isn't just about preserving the Union or breaking it apart. It may determine whether our people have any future at all. If I'm enslaved in the South as the fighting begins, everything around me starts changing. Plantation owners leave to join Confederate armies. Rumors spread from farm to farm and cabin to cabin. People whisper about Lincoln, Union troops, escape routes, and freedom. Every road suddenly offers a possibility. Every night becomes a choice. Do you stay where you are and risk everything? Or do you run and risk everything? Many decide to run. Families head toward Union lines, carrying babies, blankets, cooking pots, and whatever little they can manage to bring. Many leave with nothing but the clothes they're wearing. One Northern observer described watching these exhausted families arrive at Union camps, hoping for one simple thing: the right to belong to themselves and to keep their children from ever being sold. That is what freedom looks like in the beginning. Not celebration, not certainty, just exhaustion, hunger, and hope. Even after reaching Union lines, life remains incredibly difficult. The Union Army doesn't immediately recognize these men, women, and children as citizens or even as refugees. Instead, they're labeled contraband, treated as confiscated enemy property rather than fully free people. By 1863, roughly 10,000 formerly enslaved people had reached Washington, D.C. alone. By the end of the war, that number had grown to as many as 40,000. Many are assigned to build forts, dig trenches, and construct military defenses for miserable wages. Some receive only about 40 cents a day along with food rations. Others aren't paid at all. Some refugee camps eventually grow into organized communities like Freedmen's Village, where schools, churches, hospitals, and workshops begin offering the first real signs of a new life. But these settlements are also overcrowded, segregated, vulnerable to disease, and filled with uncertainty. Freedom has finally begun. It just doesn't feel secure yet. If I'm a black woman during the Civil War, the weight I carry can be overwhelming. I may be trying to lead my children to Union lines while the men in my family are away fighting, missing, imprisoned, or already dead. If I'm still enslaved, I may be forced to work even harder as plantation owners desperately try to squeeze every remaining ounce of labor from the people they still control. If I resist, I can be beaten. If I escape, I may find myself in a refugee camp, struggling to keep my children alive through hunger, disease, and constant uncertainty. Black women experience displacement, violence, and death on a scale that many white women never face. Tens of thousands lose their lives in camps, on plantations, or in the path of advancing armies. But black women are far more than victims in this story. They become teachers, nurses, organizers, spies, caregivers, and leaders. Some help establish schools and hospitals inside refugee settlements. Others join relief organizations that care for wounded soldiers and displaced families. Thousands serve the Union as nurses, scouts, cooks, spies, and laborers, risking their own lives to support the war effort. And countless women help destroy slavery itself, simply by refusing to continue serving enslavers, by escaping, by hiding loved ones, and by leading entire families toward freedom. If I'm a black man determined to fight for that freedom, the Union doesn't even want to hand me a rifle at first. A federal law dating back to 1792 prevents black men from serving as armed soldiers in the U.S. Army, despite the fact that black Americans had fought in earlier American wars. But as casualties mount and the conflict grows more desperate, military necessity begins changing minds. After the Emancipation Proclamation takes effect on January 1, 1863, black men are finally allowed to enlist in the Union Army. And when that opportunity arrives, thousands answer the call. By the end of the Civil War, roughly 186,000 black soldiers have served in the Union Army, while another 20,000 to 30,000 serve in the Union Navy. But putting on a blue Union uniform doesn't suddenly make you an equal. You serve in segregated regiments. Most of your officers are white. Opportunities for promotion are rare, no matter how capable you are. And when payday arrives, you're expected to accept less money than the white soldiers fighting the very same war. Many refuse. Private Sylvester Ray spoke for countless black troops when he declared, "None of us will sign again for $7 a month." They weren't asking for special treatment. They were demanding equal treatment. After months of protest and public pressure, Congress finally approved equal pay for black soldiers in June 1864. But that victory didn't come easily. So even while you're fighting to preserve the Union and destroy slavery, you're also fighting another battle within the Union itself, the battle to be recognized as a man whose service carries the same value as anyone else's. Even so, wearing that uniform means something powerful. Black soldiers march beneath the American flag. They carry USA-issued muskets. They wear the buttons of the United States Army. And by doing so, they force the nation to confront a question it has avoided for generations. If a black man is willing to march into battle, bleed on the battlefield, and die for his country, how can that same country continue denying him the rights of citizenship? Many soldiers even create their own identification tags, not only so their bodies can be identified if they're killed, but also as a proud declaration that they are fighting for freedom and for a place in the nation they helped defend. But black Americans do far more than simply endure the Civil War. They help transform its outcome. By the time the fighting ends, slavery is collapsing across the United States. The price, however, is almost beyond comprehension. Families have been torn apart. Black women have buried husbands, fathers, sons, and brothers. Black soldiers have died in staggering numbers. And even after Union victory, equality does not arrive overnight. Discrimination, violence, and injustice remain deeply rooted. Still, the war changes the direction of American history. The courage and sacrifice of black troops make it impossible for the nation to ignore the demands for freedom, citizenship, and eventually the right for black men to vote. So, what was it really like to be black during the Civil War? It meant living through a conflict over a question your own life had already answered. It meant knowing that freedom was worth fighting for, even when there was no guarantee you would ever fully receive it. It meant escaping under the cover of darkness, helping build refugee settlements by day, burying loved ones, teaching children to read, carrying supplies, carrying rifles, and carrying hope through unimaginable hardship. It meant watching the old world fall apart while believing that something better could emerge from its ruins. For black Americans, The Civil War is not simply a story about famous generals or historic battles. It is the story of ordinary people whose courage forced the United States to become more honest about its own ideals than it had ever wanted to be. And even after the guns fell silent, their struggle for true equality was only beginning.